Liz, you're muted.
Yeah, now it'd be fine.
Oh, okay. All right, then that means that I got to find where I put it. I might have already shown this to you guys a little while back, and tell me if I did, but I'm going to show it again anyway. So here we go, share screen, share it. Can you see that? Oh, wait a minute. No, stop share. I gotta share it again because you have to do it with the sound, right? Where did I?
Yeah.
Right there. Okay.
And see if you can blow it up to full screen.
I will. My first thing is just to try to get it sharing here. Okay, there's that. Then there's this. All right, how's that? Give me some thumbs up if you can hear it. I can't hear it.
No.
Okay.
You have to share just the video usually.
Here it
No,
goes.
now it's going.
I'm really happy to be part of the solution to making our county safe for everybody, getting everybody vaccinated. Really happy to see the results we've achieved so far, 75% of our population over 65. It's great to be here meeting people and seeing the breadth of personalities in our county and just contributing to an end to the pandemic.
Excited to have someone ask me about what is Rotary, and I got to talk with them about polio eradication and play the guessing game of which two countries still have wild polio virus, and that we are out here inoculating against yet another virus is just so much a part of Rotary. It's a great day.
Alrighty then.
Great video.
Isn't that fun?
Yeah, that was great.
Okay, Liz, Pete, you guys are on, and then some of us can fill in with time allotted for our experiences.
So I'm going to get it started because I don't know anything and Liz knows everything. So I'll tell you everything I know and then she'll go from there. This all started early, just like all clubs. You know, we're looking at many of our community service projects cannot happen. And our club was looking at ways that we could help the community. And And so Liz came to the board. Liz is on our board, and Liz came to the board with this idea and got our approval. And it happened to be, like Chris says, right before our local club presidents were getting together. And I says, well, I'll run it by the club presidents to kind of get their feedback too. But you know, the idea was let's see if we can help out on this vaccinations. The issue is it's not that easy. You know, Lane County requires a lot of regulations and a lot of contracts and stuff like that to sign. And our club president, Tom, was kind of uncomfortable with a lot of it. So it took a lot of back and forth with the county to come up with a way to so we can get people to volunteer. What the county wanted us to do was just to manage all volunteers for this vaccination. And of course, our club says, well, I'm not sure we can handle that, but I think we can handle all Rotary volunteers. Currently, we're managing all volunteers, so they got us either way. So, you know, that's kind of what we're doing. I had offered to Liz when she said she was going to take this on. I says, do you want some help? Because I've done volunteers for a lot of organizations. And so that's my role, is to take and help organize, create the database volunteers and get them going. But Liz is really doing the brunt of the work. And so I'm going to let Liz talk about where we're at with this and how it went about. So Liz.
So thank you, first of all, for having us today. We're just so excited by this opportunity to serve our community and by the opportunity to talk to you about it. Your club has done a great job providing volunteers. I know Nancy and Walt Meyer and Jean Stover's been there, Christine, Kathy Hoffer. So, I mean, and I'm sorry if I missed somebody, but you know, you've really turned out some volunteers to help with this effort, and we appreciate that. So originally we decided in early February to pursue this, and Karen Gaffney is a member of our club, and she's the Director of Health and Human Services for Lane County. And so we started talking with her. It took a lot to get to this point. There was a point where we really didn't know that we were going to get this done, but we finally did get a contract with the county. They gave us some very specific criteria for vetting volunteers. There has to be a background check passed. They have to go through HIPAA training. They have to sign an agreement with the county. We were able to get all that done and then started working on volunteers. I volunteered the first time February 21st. I was kind of the volunteer guinea pig to get out there and see what it was like, and you know, so I could give everybody a better idea of what to expect. And it was such an incredible experience. And I did receive my vaccine the first day, which was, I felt honored to be able to do that. We wanted to have all volunteers vaccinated, and that was definitely a goal, but that had to be accomplished through vaccine that was left over at the end of each clinic. And so that wasn't always possible. One day we had 20 volunteers at the fairgrounds, and they only had 9 doses left. And so we worked through it the first few weeks, getting as many people vaccinated as we could, and currently, you know, definitely have gotten our volunteers vaccinated. So the first big shift of everybody volunteering was the 28th of February, and we've been there every weekend. We're averaging about 42 volunteer shifts per weekend. Overall, we've done about 380 shifts, and that's over 3,000 hours of volunteer time. So we really are excited by the amount of time that everybody's putting in. We have a lot of volunteers that are coming every weekend, and that really means a lot. We understand not everybody can do that, but we really hope that people, you know, once they are vetted and approved as a volunteer, that they will be there as much as possible. We've had 3 locations going, LCC, the fairgrounds, and Autzen. But each week, the amount of vaccine that we receive is dictated by the state, and we don't always have enough vaccine to run all 3 locations. Last week, we have 10 lanes available at LCC, and we could only run 6. We had 12 lanes at LCC, and we were only able had enough vaccine to run 12 of the 14 lanes available at Autzen. This weekend, we only have enough vaccine to have the Autzen clinic. And so, you know, were we able to get more vaccine, the other clinics would be open as well. But we're also starting to reach a point where the people that are most concerned have been vaccinated. I think over 75% of our senior population has received the vaccine. You know, people in education, people in healthcare, and now, you know, everybody in the state is eligible. And so we are seeing a lot more people come through of different age groups. But not everybody wants the vaccine. We hope they do. But the other thing that we realized is that when we first started doing this back in February, we were kind of the only game in town. You know, the hospitals had it and Lane County had it, but it wasn't in the pharmacies yet, and it wasn't, you know, in the clinics. Doctors' offices didn't have it. And the progression of this has been to get it everywhere so that everyone can get it, so that it's readily available, just like the flu shot. And that's what we've been working toward, and that's what we're accomplishing. So probably by the end of this month, we'll wind down, and we may run one location, or there may be weekends we don't do any, depending on how much vaccine we receive, and depending on the need as well. But it's just been a tremendous effort. What I can tell you, and those of you who volunteered know this, our community is incredibly grateful for our effort. I always try and thank everyone that comes through the line. Thank you for getting your vaccine. But honestly, 9 times out of 10, they beat me to it. They're thanking me for being there and for doing this. And a lot of people recognize Rotary. They, you know, thank you so much for Rotary for being here. It's really been great visibility. We have received Rotary masks, vests, and some hats, a few hats from our governor, Cindy O'Neill. She's provided quite a bit. So now we have enough vests that we're assigning them to volunteers, so they're wearing the same vest every weekend, which is helping me a lot. I don't have to run around to every clinic every weekend like I was. But it's just incredible visibility. It's come up that there are stickers that we could produce as Rotarians and say, you know, vaccinated by Rotary. But at the same time that this came up, the county also has developed vaccine stickers. And so they prefer to stick with the stickers that they have. But we've also asked about having brochures there, Rotary brochures. And we definitely aren't going to give everybody a brochure, but if somebody does ask about Rotary specifically, show an interest in us, then we can hand out a brochure. And we've had that. We've had, you know, I was talking to one guy who came through the line and he said, yeah, I've been thinking about joining Rotary. Tell me about your club. So it was really an incredible opportunity. And we've got his information and have been in contact with him about potentially becoming a member. And so it's been rewarding in so many different ways. I mean, obviously rewarding because, you know, it's service before self, which is what Rotary is, but it's also, increasing the visibility of Rotary and teaching our community that we're there for them in every situation. And so we're grateful to have had this opportunity. We're grateful for the people that are helping us. We do have 138 volunteers vetted as of this Tuesday. And so it means that we are able to go to half shifts for people. You don't need to commit to a whole day. You can just do a half a shift. And now we're even getting pop-up clinics during the week. There's a pop-up clinic going on right now out at Willamette Lane. It's from noon to 8 today. And so there are a lot of different opportunities to be of service. So if you haven't already volunteered, I encourage you to come and join us while we're still able to. I think for much longer, we aren't going to have the opportunity to be of service in this way. But then again, a year from now, we're probably going to be doing booster clinics and the county will be involved in that. And so at that point, we'll step up again and volunteer at the clinics to get everybody through the boosters. And so I'm happy to entertain any questions. Oh, one more thing. We did actually also get a donation. Somebody mailed a donation into our club to thank us for our service, which was really cool. So maybe some of you who also are volunteering at the clinics can talk about your experience.
First of all, are there any questions for Liz and Pete, who kind of got us roped into this or gave us the opportunity to serve? Susie.
Well, I was really looking forward to the idea of doing that. I have a friend who's a retired nurse who started volunteering early on at the vaccination clinics, but I can't do even 4 hours on my feet. So I initially thought that there were maybe going to be some jobs, that you could spend sitting, but it sounds like that's not turned out to be the case. So
Right. We thought we'd have an opportunity for people to help with data entry, but they've got it under control.
Okay.
So
okay.
I'd just like to say, I'd like to say thank you to Liz for running around and delivering the vests and all the work that you did for the first couple weeks. It seems like things have tapered off a little bit now. We do have our own vests, we have our own hats, we have our own masks, and that was really very generous for donation wise for us to have those. Thank you.
Is there any like say because I have all of my stuff filled out and I did the background check and whatever, so I can send that in to volunteer, but I've been hesitant because my schedule is so crazy and I would have to fit it into a very crazy schedule, and adding one more thing is sometimes overwhelming, but I really want to do it. So is like, if I wanted to do it just once or a couple of times, is that, or do you want people to be consistently there every week?
Well, we're almost at the end of this. So I think if you wanted to do it once or twice, that's probably all you get to do it. So
Okay.
Yeah, we have many people that have submitted their applications knowing that they can't do it right away. A lot of people wanted to have the vaccines first before they volunteered. And what I did was encourage them to submit it, get the background check through, and then you're on the list to get the notification from Lane County about the opportunities. So we encourage people to submit it. The Oregon State Police had changed. What we were doing to start with was having people get their own background checks through OSP. We overwhelmed them, I think, because they said, no more. We only want them to go through Rotary. And so now you have to give me the information and I'll submit it to OSP and get the background check. The good news is the Eugene Rotary is paying the $10 instead of you. So that's the one good news on it. But yeah, get the forms in. Lane County is very adamant about, they want to make sure the volunteers are vetted. And so my system is that I go through, I make copies of all the forms and a copy of the OSP affirming that the background check has no record, and I have it on file. So if down the line they say, is that Liz Ness really vetted? I can actually show them the form with my signature and stuff to prove that they're vetted.
So I have a question, Pete, because as Liz said, there's a good chance that we're going to be doing booster shots next year. So then once we're in, I mean, is there an expiration date, 12 months? Do we have to be vetted again or another background check, or maybe you don't know that yet?
yeah, so when I negotiated the original contract with the county, we didn't have any idea that there would be booster shots, and so we haven't had any dialogue around that yet.
Okay.
I'm kind of working on the assumption that once vetted, it'll be fine, but we'll cross that bridge when we get closer to it.
Okay.
And we'll let everybody know.
And I also just wanted to thank Liz and Pete also for all the work you've put into this. And I mean, personally, it's been rewarding as a Rotarian, but I wanted to say from a person who has done some marketing in my life for my own business and nonprofits, this is brilliant marketing for Rotary. If it wasn't in COVID times, which it is, it would be brilliant because it's so hard to get the word out about what we do. And now we're not talking about it. We're just doing it.
Showing it.
And the visibility is amazing. And as you said, Liz, people are asking about it. And even if they don't join the club, they know about it. So I just think the return on this investment is just going to continue on and on and on. So way to go.
Yeah, it's really funny. One day I had to stop my husband. I ran around to all the clinics, and I always put all my gear on when I do that. And it was a day that I wasn't doing a shift. And so I was on my way home, and my husband texted and said, "Can you stop at Starbucks?" And so I said, "Oh, sure." So I ran into Starbucks in all my Rotary gear. It was the cutest thing. People are like, "Thank you." You know, it's like, "Thank you so much. We appreciate everything you're doing." And I'm like, okay. They just all knew. It was real. It was like the parting of the water for me to get up to get my drink. And it was just really cool.
Hey, Liz, why don't you tell your story about your first vaccination? About the clothing obstacle.
Okay. So I was out at LCC. I did my first shift out at LCC, and it was February. It was February 21st. So it was freezing. And so I had all these layers on and all these clothes on, and I didn't know whether I was going to get the vaccine or not. And frankly, it was kind of at the back of my mind. And I got through the day, and the clinic was closing down. And I remembered, and I said, "Oh yeah, can I get the vaccine?" And they said, "Oh yeah, come on over here." Oh. And all of a sudden, it just hit me. I was not properly dressed to get a vaccine. I was wearing a skin tight shirt, long sleeve shirt there was no way I had to take my shirt off to get my arm. And so I'm sitting on a chair, not in my car, out at the vaccine site, you know, just in my bra, trying to cover myself up while I'm getting this shot in my arm. Oh my gosh, I was so embarrassed.
That's somebody who's motivated.
Yeah, I wasn't going to miss the chance to get the vaccine, but you know, had I thought about it further, and I would told everybody after that, I'm like, make sure you wear a short sleeve shirt if you're getting the vaccine.
Right. I had to remind myself that too. Kathy, you've got your hand up.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that it's also such a heartwarming experience to participate in this. I mean, we've all been through such a difficult year, and the sense of sharing with the community, and people are, well, half of the people are scared and half of the people are just happy. And it's just such a relief that people are experiencing going through this line. And it's gratifying to really be a part of that and to listen to their stories and what their year has been like. Because it's been a tough year on a lot of people. I mean, we had no idea what people are going through with all this. And it's interesting when you stop and listen to some of the stories, what you hear. And it's been pretty, I mean, it's been real eye-opening for me.
Yeah, it's been funny going from not seeing anyone at all to seeing literally thousands of people coming through the clinics. And it's just been incredible to make that personal connection.
I'd also like to add to Liz, we actually received 2 donations from people going through the clinic. The first one came in and went and saw a Rotarian and says, I think he was a retired judge from Alaska and moved to Eugene. He says, "You guys got to have some expense here on doing this." So he gave the volunteer $100 and says, "Take that and as a donation to Rotary and spend it wisely." And so we did. And then the second one that Liz had mentioned was a woman who she called up on our Rotary line, our Eugene Rotary line, and says, "I had such a great experience at going through the clinic and I want to donate to Rotary." So I says, "Yeah, that'd be great, but could you write a little note about it so we can share it with other Rotarians because of all the people volunteers?" She wrote a real nice note about how pleasant of an experience and thanking Rotary for what they're doing.
Right. So have either of you given a thought to submitting this experience to Rotary Magazine?
Yeah, Rotary International has all this. They've got the video, they've got our write-up, you know, they're getting, you know, everything that we put in the bulletin every week. I've had a phone call from the publicity people at Rotary International. Yeah, they've got everything. And I think it's going to be, I expect to see the video on the Rotary International website pretty prominently. But yeah, definitely they're interested in what we're doing.
That's great.
Also, last weekend I was interviewed by the Register Guard, and so we're expecting a story in the Register Guard at some point about the work we've been doing there. And then we're also planning a Rotary Day. We're still talking with the county about what day that's going to be, but we're kind of shooting for the third weekend in May, the weekend of the 22nd, 23rd, maybe. So we can get as many Rotarians, and we'll just basically take over one of the locations. You know, we'll just have everybody that's volunteering that day be wearing Rotary gear and working on behalf of Rotary.
That sounds great. I also wanted to give you kudos for, well, even having enough people to do half shifts, because I've done both. But what I was finding out is that there are some people that otherwise could not volunteer, and they'd rather do a half shift than not be able to do any. And so I'm sure you've seen that on your list, but the partnering has worked out really well that way.
Yeah, they kind of fought us on that for a while. They just thought it was going to be too hard, and they were worried that people wouldn't be there for orientation in the morning, but it hasn't been. We won them over.
Yeah. Well, I did my first half shift, and you know, once you've done it a few times and you've done the orientation, I really didn't need to go to that orientation again.
Yep.
So, yeah.
One of the things we haven't mentioned is that there are a lot of Spanish speakers that come through these lines. And Kathy, why don't you talk about your experience speaking Spanish with some of these people that were already nervous about going through this, and how that went for you from your perspective?
Yeah, that's been interesting. They seem to be very relieved for the most part when they come up with somebody who does speak Spanish. And Nancy and Walt also speak Spanish, and they've helped out a lot. There aren't very many other volunteers who speak Spanish, and sometimes we end up being the only ones there who do. They have the forms in Spanish, but oftentimes the people are given the forms in English, and they get up to us and have these forms oftentimes not filled out because they couldn't understand what was on the forms. So then we end up having to translate that for them or give them one of the Spanish forms, which are available. So that's good. And we also have information forms available in Spanish. But the relief that they express once someone starts to speak Spanish to them and explain to them and make them feel more relaxed is palpable.
Yeah, each clinic, there is a lane at each clinic that is specially designated for Spanish language. And I don't know why, but for whatever reason, I ended up in that lane last week. Luckily, I had two great people who were Spanish speakers. In fact, one of them's actually a Spanish language translator. She was born in Mexico. But I remember walking up to cars and trying to talk to them and immediately realizing they had no idea what I was saying. And I would just say, un momento, and go get one of them. I mean, I know how to say that, and I know how to order beer, and that's pretty much the limit to my Spanish.
I had a funny experience when we were working over at the fairgrounds. They came running over to me. They said they needed somebody to speak Spanish to these people that I was in the registration line, and they had come in initially and couldn't understand what they were saying. And they were coming up from Cottage Grove. And so I asked them, and they said they'd already had their vaccine. And I noticed that there were some kids in the back, but I couldn't see them. And I said, well, how old are your children? And you know, they said they were only 6 and 2. And I said, oh, that's too young. You know, you can't have your children vaccinated at that age. And I said, so then why are you here? And they said, well, they were here for the clothing sale. And as it turned out, they were having a children's used clothing sale over at one of the other buildings at the fairgrounds, and they had gotten into the wrong line, and they'd been coming through, and I guess they thought this was really a big clothing sale. And I said, oh no, you've just accidentally gotten in the wrong line, and we're going to get you out and get you back in. But it was funny. They were they sat all that time in the line waiting for the clothing sale.
Oh. Thank heavens you were available to talk to them, Nance.
Yeah. Other questions?
Well, I put both Pete and my emails in your chat. You have to scroll all the way back up. Or I see Pete just put it in there as well. So if you're interested in volunteering, just get a hold of us and we'll make sure and get the forms to you. And we're just so grateful for the time that those of you that are volunteering have put in. We're just really grateful to have this opportunity to serve our community.
Well, I'm grateful that you guys put this program together for us, that we could sing along, sing back up to you, because it has been so rewarding. So thank you very much for coming to our meeting and doing that. That's one way to get outside Rotarians to come to our meetings. As part of your reward for being our speakers today, we're going to make 10 polio vaccine donations to Rotary International Polio Plus program in your names. And we want to thank you again for being here and doing this program. It's a good program, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That video kind of makes you proud of Rotary. That's the whole idea. Rotary's starting to get better at getting the brand out there and getting, you know, we are the best guarded secret for considering we're the largest networking organization. There's too many people that don't know who Rotary is, that don't have any connection with us. So anyway, we can change that.
Are there any other local